Syria's interim government has announced the end of a days-long military operation against insurgents loyal to ousted President Bashar Assad and his family. It was the worst fighting since the end of the 13-year civil war in December. The Defense Ministry's announcement comes after a surprise attack by gunmen from the Alawite community on police patrol near the port city of Lattakia Thursday spiraled into the widespread clashes across the country's coastal region. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said more than 1,100 people were killed in the clashes, including 830 civilians. Life gradually returned to Lattakia's streets today, just days after Syria suffered its worst bloodshed since the overthrow of ousted President Bashar al-Assad. Security forces were seen in the streets along with parked vehicles which had been damaged during violent clashes. One resident saying the situation was good and Ramadan was beautiful 2 days before the chaos and people could go to work. But now people don't go out. Allahu Akbar. The violence that erupted between Syrian security forces and supporters of former President Assad since Thursday have killed more than 1,000 people, according to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights.
The interim president used to be the leader of Al-Qaeda in Syria. So there was a lot of questions about whether he was going to be the reformist he claims to be, or whether he was going to go down the route of essentially being a jihadist. And I think, as Marcus points out, the majority of those killed in these clashes were civilians. So there's a big question about whether he is this reformist or whether this is going to lead to a broader civil war.
Today, Syria's interim president Ahmed Shara said mass killings of members of ousted President Assad's minority sect were a threat to his mission to unite the country and promised to punish those responsible, including his own allies if necessary. In his first interview to a global news agency held after hundreds died in 4 days of clashes between Alawite Muslims and Syria's new Sunni Islamist authorities, Shara blamed pro-Assad groups backed by foreigners for triggering the bloodshed, but acknowledged that revenge killings had followed. The past few days are said to be the most challenging for Syrians since the day that Assad fell months ago.
It started with some militias and forces loyal to Assad ambushing and attacking and surrounding checkpoints for security forces belonging to the new interim government on the coastal area, where it's heavily populated by the Alawite sect, the sect that Assad himself came from.
Today, a spokesperson for Iran's foreign ministry condemned the recent violence. And he rejected accusations of Iran's involvement, calling them baseless. This weekend, hundreds of people protested in Damascus to condemn the ongoing violence. Demonstrators held pictures of those killed in clashes in Lattakia, Tartus, Jableh, as well as other coastal cities and villages. But while the leader calls for unity, some analysts speculate that the country may not recover from this conflict unless core issues are addressed by the government. Meanwhile, today, Syria's interim government has reached a deal with Kurdish-led authority that controls the country's northeast, including a ceasefire and the merging of the main U.S.-backed force there into the Syrian army. The deal is a major breakthrough that would bring most of Syria under the control of the government.